Hello, world. Welcome back to the podcast monitoring app, episode 45. Last time we were implementing the method in the controller function that will go and parse all the information, figure out what episodes were posted on the day given, and will kind of filter them down to construct messages and then tweet them out. So we're going to continue with where we left off. So let's get started. We have all the episodes here, right? So we basically kind of selected a main feed, and then we went through and we basically went through, and then we went and with the main feed here, figured out what all the episodes were by taking a difference between each feed against the main feed, and adding them in any episodes that aren't in the main feed into the all episodes feed. So now we need to basically figure out which episodes are only on the main feed and which episodes are only on subfeeds, and which episodes are on both of them. So we'll start with, and that's what we actually did here in this prototype code, right? We figured out if something was on main, and then for each episode, we actually figured out if it was on main, and then we kind of did some extra logic to figure out if it was on a subfeed. So what we're going to do is, let's say for episode in all episodes. And now we have these filter functions. So the difference, right, takes a feed, checks it against another feed, and then if the episode is not in here, we keep it. The intersection is the opposite, where we take the check, we check against this, we check this feed against this feed, and if the episode is in this, then we keep it, right? So we can basically do that where we can say, right, we want to get all the episodes that are, right, we want episodes on main, and we'll have a list for that. And then we'll want episodes not on main, have a list for that. So let's start out with this. So we'll say for ep in all episodes, if this episode is in main feed episodes, right? So that's actually a fairly simple one. So we have main feed, it has a list of episodes, and so when we loop through all episodes, we're going to loop through all the episodes, and then we're going to check if it's in this list of episodes, then it's on the main feed, right? So now we have a list of all the episodes that are on the main feed. And then this is going to be basically the same thing, except the opposite, right? So we're creating these kind of two exclusive lists, if episode not in main feed, right? So these are now mutually exclusive. So now the only thing we actually also need is episodes that are on the main feed, but are exclusively on the main feed. So they're not on any subfeed, right? And so there's two ways we could do that. We could either get all the episodes that, so we're basically going to loop through all the episodes in this list, and we're going to check if the episode that we can either check whether it is in any of the subfeeds or it isn't in any of the subfeeds. right? And then we can use that to kind of construct the last kind of like 2 lists that we need there. So let's say, so let's just, for now, we'll just do 4 episodes on main, right? And we can use, so this is where I might end up maybe either changing these or adding other ones based off of what we use, because, you know, I could use these feed methods, and that's what we did in the prototype here, where we said, right, if it's on main, kind of use this feed method, but it's kind of confusing. And so I might code these out and then update filter later. Because basically what we really want to do is this episode in any of the subfeeds, right? And by being in a subfeed, that means it has to be in the episode list, right? So, for example, we have 4 feeds. So we'll say let's create a method actually. I'll just code it straight out. So we'll create an inner method, and we'll say feed count containing episode, right? So if we give it this episode here, I don't think we imported those things. If we give it an episode and then we give it a feed, which we did import, right? No, we did not. That's fine. All right, so we give it an episode and we give it a feed, and basically we want to know, or no, do we want to give it a feed or a list of feeds? Yeah, so we want to give it a list of feeds, and then it's going to return an integer, right? So basically, we're going to loop through feeds, so 4 feed in feeds. We'll have a return, which will accumulate, and we'll say if ep in feed episodes, then return plus equal to 1, and then we're going to return that value, right? So basically we're looping through each feed. If it's in episodes, if it's in there, then we're going to count it. So that means it's in this feed, and then we're going to return how many feeds that it was in. So now let's rewrite this actually to make it simpler. So we're going to return the length of a list. We're going to use the list construction, and we're going to say feed for feed in feeds if ep in feed episodes. Okay, and then we're going to return this. So now I'm just going to comment this out for a second so it makes it a little clearer. And so, right, what are we doing here? We're doing the exact same thing. We're just using this length function, right? So instead of doing this, right, the other thing we could do is instead of here returning 0, we could return the length of a list, and we could, instead of adding 1, we could append that feed into that list, right? That's essentially what we're doing here. We're saying for each feed, so for each feed in the given feeds list, if the given episode is in that feed's episode list, then add it to here, right? So we're essentially just accumulating which feeds that episode is in on, right? But we only need a count. We don't actually need, at least for this here, we don't actually need the actual feeds, so we're just returning the length of it. Now, what does that mean? So that means if we want episodes only on main, then we can create a list construct where we get those episodes. And what are we doing? We're saying if that episode, I'll add this here to the next line. I'll say for episode in episodes if feed count app feeds is equal to 1, right? So basically, we're taking the ones that are on main, so we know they're on at least one feed, and we never removed the main feed from feed, so we know it's at least in one of them on here. If it's only in one of them on here, well, then it's in this one, right? And now we can use that fact if we have this, and this is a subset of that. So now if we want to create another one, we could say episodes on multiple feeds. What did I use a specific term in the prototype that I like? Get podcast info sub both. Okay. Episodes on both feeds. We'll just say that because that's what we used for the messaging. So that's going to be an episode for the episodes on main if ep not in episode only on main, right? So the episodes on both feeds are the episodes from episodes on main that aren't in the episodes only on main, right? So now we have this list, and this list. And these basically correspond to the messages that we want to form, right? So I'm going to commit this. I'm going to say git commit git commit am, and we'll say constructed episode lists for feed groups. That's fine. All right. So now we need to form the messages, right? So that's using, did I import yeah, I have the message factory, right? So now, right, we have the self.message, or self.factory. So like message factory, there we go. All right. And we have these different ones here, right? And so basically we're the podcast list, right? It's basically this here. And then for all these other ones, we were passing in, look at factory, right? Then we're basically just going to take each other list that we have. And in this case, we need to pass in the links, the podcast ID, / the handle, and the episode. And for main, it's just the links. And for both, it's that. So for both, it's the podcast ID. Okay. All right, so message factory dot podcast list. Then treat it at message replies. Okay. So we'll say daily message is equal to this podcast list, right? So now we need to give it a list of episodes. So that's going to be all episodes. The date as a string, which I'm just going to copy this here so I don't have to relook those up. Right, so where was the date that we're passing in? Using it for the filter. All right, so we'll come down here, we'll add in sdate. And this is date. So add in that. And then we need the podcast ID, right, which is, if it's going to be in the metadata, right? So if we take the feed, we get the metadata, And then we had added in the Twitter handle, which is quote for the podcast ID. And they all have it, but if they don't have it, I think they use the name. Where's the feed data? Yeah, so they all have this, and some of them are null. And then I think I just treated that. Well, the main one has it, and that's the only one that matters here. I think down here we said if it's null, yeah. If we don't have it, then use the name. All right, so something's in here. We're basically going to say main feed metadata and this is going to be, what was it? Handle? Twitter handle? Twitter handle. So I'm going to call it the same thing here. Yeah, Twitter handle. All right, Twitter handle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say podcast ID. Podcast ID, date, episodes. All right, that's fine. All right, so now we have the daily message, and now we need to basically create the replies. So replies is going to be this list here. Now we need to basically loop through each of these, right? So for episode in, episodes on both feeds. And then here we're going to have episodes on main only on main, and episodes on not on main, right? So those are the three distinct lists that we constructed. And so now we can basically form these messages here, right? So we're going to use the factory for that, self.messageFactory. And this has the methods that we want. So this one is for both. I'll just come down, add those in, and this will be for main, and this will be for the subfeed, right? So now, right, what do we have? We have the episode that we want, so that's simple enough. We have the podcast ID. So now the episode here, right, the episode is one of these, and so what does it have? It has the title, the description, the pub date, the length in seconds, and the MP3. So what we want to give is the title. Or no, actually, wait, what is it? What is this? This was the podcast ID. So actually, this is going to come from... Yeah, and see, this is where like the little structure, because the feed has the metadata, and that's what I believe I used in the prototype, right? If it's in the temp feed and it's on main, then use the Twitter handle from the temp feed. So basically here, what I need to do is I need to get the pod ID and the links. And the links are also in the metadata, right? The links are also going to be in here. And so I need to kind of construct all those. This one's much easier. This one's just the episode and then the links to the main feed. So this is just going to be main feed, metadata, and this is platform links. All right, and the platform links, type dict. This is actually a dictionary, and I want them as a list, right? So where do I have this? Yeah, because it's like Apple and Spotify. And so I actually need to turn this into a list. And I want the values. So what I'm going to say here is link for, you don't need the key, dot items, in. Okay. So that should work, and I think, checking out the prototype, I think that's basically what I did. Main, yeah, that was exactly what I did. I put it into a separate one, which is what I was literally just thinking. I was like, all right, it'd probably be easier to see if I just move that over, but I'll do that in a second. And then, so this one here is going to be the exact same as both feeds. So I need to basically figure out what so I need to do this links, and I need to add these links. So right, so what I'm gonna do is, well, let me move this down here. So I need to get the links. So I'm gonna say main feed links is equal to link for link in main feed metadata platform links, and then dot items. All right. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a method, another inner method, and this is going to say, so actually, and this is where I'll refactor it later. I'm not going to do it now, but this is where I'm basically going to do the same thing. I'm going to say feeds containing episode. And so these are I'm going to end up refactoring actually a bunch of this stuff together, and then I'm going to move it into the filter stuff. But getting ahead of myself there. So we have episode and we have feeds, and that's a list, and this is going to return a list of those feeds, right? And it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be return a list of feed for feed in feeds if ep in feed episodes, right? So this one was taking the length, and this one's just doing this. And so now we have a method that can get the feeds containing the episode. In the case that it's not on main, it should only be on one feed, right? And for now, I think it might be fine to assume that. Did I assume that here on both? See, I was using the intersection stuff here. Yeah, I was like, for feed in feeds, if there's one break, feeds on main, if it is on main, otherwise, oh, okay, I see what I did. So what I did last time was I basically figured out what feeds it was all on, and like the episode, I figured, so it's on main if it's on this one, and then the temp feed, which I calculated using this loop, using the intersection method here, by kind of constructing a fake feed, which is why I don't really like it, but it did have all the information. So feeds containing episode, right? So it's kind of recalculating a bunch of things, which isn't great, but that's also why I should operate on it differently. So if it's on both feeds, I'm going to do not on main because that one will actually be simpler in a sense. Links. Okay. So I need to get the podcast ID. So if it's not on main, I know it's on another one, and I just need an ID from that one. So what I'm going to say is feeds containing is equal to feeds containing episode. You know what? I'm just going to call it feeds. The method kind of is self-explanatory there. And I'm going to say episode and feeds. Right, so this will just figure out all the feeds that the episode is on. And then basically I can just say the pod ID is equal to feeds 0. I could just take the first one, metadata, and Twitter handle. If not, so if there was no, if it was null, then the pod ID is equal to the name of the podcast. So that's just the name. Okay. And then the other thing we need to figure out is the links. So it's going to be basically the same. So we're going to basically say links is equal to link for, now there should only be one feed here, but I'm going to make it generic. So for link in main feed, or no, sorry, in feed, metadata, platform, there's no chance this is going to work on the first try, dot items, and then how do we get the feed? For feed in feeds, and this feeds conflicts with that feed, so that's why I'm going to rename it. So I'm going to say containing feeds, and then update all those. Why is this saying it's not used? It should be right. Python. If I have a list, the dictionary 1, and another dictionary 2. And I say, so if I do D for D in L, no, right, it's gonna do that, and then if I want to get the values, then I can say V for V in D dot items. D is not defined. Is it the other way? I think maybe it's the other way. Let's try the other way. V for D in L for V in D dot items. Let me close it. Okay, so it is the other way, that's why. So it's actually links is equal to the link for feed in containing feeds for no key value in feed metadata platform links. Items. Okay, that's the right way to do that. All right, so get the link. So for each feed in the containing feeds, go through the platform links, and basically take each value and get it there. Okay. And so that does this, and now we need to do the same thing for this one. And in fact, I think it's exactly... So I think for this one, we want to use... I think we want to do the exact same thing, actually. Right? Twitter handle... Oh, but see, okay, so this was on the data that we were using. This didn't have an issue, but otherwise it needs to do the same thing. So it is the same, and then this links only does this one, but this one does it and adds in temp feed and main feed. But in our case, main feed is in here, so it is literally the exact same code. So we can just do this exact same thing. And since we did it multiple times, it's obvious that we'll be able to add like a level of redundancy. And then so I'm going to actually move, since those are the exact same, I'm going to move this one up here. And now, actually no, I'm not going to do that because I need to also do, so this is message. Did I use just message anywhere else? No, okay. And replies dot append message. And then the question I have is that works, but it wouldn't necessarily work here. Oh, but that's also, I'm going to pull that out in a second, so that's fine. All right, so get rid of those. So I'm going to pull this links part out. So links equals this, and then here links, and then I'm going to take this same thing and wrap it in that, and do the same thing down here. All right. Main feed links. I did not use that anywhere. Oh, I had pulled it out already. No, I'm gonna get rid of it from up here. Just comment it out there. All right, and let's exit this. Git status. All right, git commit am formed tweets. All right, and so the very last thing we need to do is we need to tweet this out, which is very simple to do. We already set up the Twitter, and so now we just tweet, and then we just tweet with the date, because the date is kind of what it bases it off of. So now to tweet this out, we say self.twitter.tweet, and then we're going to send out the daily message. So, and then for reply in replies, self.twitter.tweet, and this is going to be reply, and then this is the date that we're replying to. Okay, and then let me commit that. Git commit am sending tweets. Okay, so now if we didn't do anything wrong, which we almost definitely did, the tests will pass. So, right, we're basically just going to run the controller test and then see what happens. So let us do Python tests controller unit tests. We got an error. All right, so this is takes one positional argument, but two were given. Parser init. Oh, because it's not. Where's the parser? The parser. Because they have to be keyword arguments. So where did I do that? That was line 19. All right, so the feed parser here, right? These are keyword arguments, so we do want to say requester equals requester. And is this a key? This is not a keyword argument, so we're fine there. All right, let's run it again. All right, so now we don't get an error, we get a failure. So no more syntax errors, but now there are significant differences in what we have. So the lists differ. So you know what I'm going to do to make this simple is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to print self.timeline. Print timeline. And then we'll do print expected, print expected timeline. All right, let's see what happens. Okay. So this is what it expects. So it expects a tweet 0, none, no parent. Oh, that's interesting. This doesn't have the date in it. I wonder if that'll work. All right, let's go back up to expected. Okay, so yes, and that did not work. But I can make this an F string probably, and then just do today. And that might work. Okay, so let's see. So today with this date, just not going to, yeah, so see this is, well, one, this doesn't have any information, but it's not formatted properly. And so I need to use, where was it? Where was the S date? I need to use this. So this is today, and let's just put that straight in there. And what if I do this? Will this be okay? Looks like it. Right. So that's just an issue with the test. So that's so far so good. So yeah, so now we have it. Expected, released these episodes. And then Cooligan's episode 1 goes to 0. And then we have 2, and then 3, and they just have all these links. So now this one is only has the first tweet, and the tweet doesn't have the link information in it. So let's see. Let's see if we can figure out what happened there. So controller. All right, so the daily message comes in from here. So let's print this out. Why is this wrong? Okay, that's weird. Message factory. Turn the podcast list. Messages today. So that's getting that string from the messages, which is this one. So it's getting that. It's getting the titles of episode for episode in there, and then it's constructing that and returning that, but instead it's not. So, titles. Empty list. Still an empty list. So why is this list empty? All right. So podcast ID. Wait, what's going on here? Podcast ID episodes. All episodes. So it's saying all episodes is empty. And it's a copy from here. So let's print all episodes. Well, what if I print this then? So this is an empty list. Main feed. It's still empty. Interesting. Well, so what is main feed then? Print main feed. So it's this object. Metadata. So just the metadata object. We'll say title. So this was working. We knew that. Okay, let's save it. Wait. Key error title. Feed metadata. Oh, name. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to get rid of this. What time are we at? 45 minutes. All right, I don't want to do this for too much longer. So we might have to do a debug after. So let's see what we got here. Yeah, so it has that. All right. So then why are the episodes empty? It has to be from then, I guess, the filtering. All the way up here. Does the date not match? For feed in feeds, print feed, print the length of the feed episodes. Yeah, so they're all 0. So the issue is in the filtering here. So if I get rid of this again, and do it up here. Alright, so it already just contains 4, which makes sense because those are just the 4. Well, wait, that's still kind of weird, isn't it? So is it a data issue? It looks like it's a data issue. Stub feeds. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So those are the 4 feeds. And then the feeds are using the requester here. So where's the fake? The stub. Yeah, so these are the different, so this is the get data, and it's supposed to, given the URL, map it in, and return it. It looks like it's doing that wrong. Or no, it looks like it's well, is it doing it right? All right, hold on. Print feed metadata name. I don't feel smart. I'll say that right now. When things don't work. But I appreciate it. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, so it is finding 4 for each of them. This looks like it's a test setup issue because so it's going through feeds.json feed. Oh, I'm not using the feed metadata path. That's why. Because in here I'm passing in feeds.json, which is the stub feed, and I hard coded that in there. So it was using the actual one, and then it was loading the actual one up with the actual data, and then it was calling into here. Now that it still looks like this is wrong because these shouldn't have 4 episodes, right? It should call get feed. So it should have the stub feed in here, which is, for example, the stupidity one is this. And then that should be calling into the requester stub here. So this first portion is that string there, and this maps to this one. So then that should send back this information here, which only has 1 episode. So it still should... Oh, well, if in doubt, it returns the Lebertard one. So that means it couldn't find it. Mapping, URL format, the URL here. URL mapping, URL. And this... So I was using the actual feed, which should be the same, because I just copied it. So it looks like it's all returning this one for some reason. So it looks like there's a bug in the stub thing here. No such file or directory. And I think it's because of where I'm running it. Because I'm running it from here. So what am I passing in? So this is resources. So this should be tests. Okay. So that fixed that, and now each of them is still getting 4. So the question is, why is this one getting 4? And that is because it's doing something in here. So then let's check this out. So we're going to say print URL. Mapping to, oh, it's because this is terrible. It's backwards, right? So what I'm doing here, right, is I want to insert this key into here, right? So the URL format with this inserted is that, but that's not what I'm doing. I'm saying mapping.get. So this URL is already this. And so this here should actually be F or no, let's do URL format like that. And this should just check the URL. Otherwise, it will return that. And now we have an issue with the parsing of it. Not well formed, invalid token. And this is occurring on line 29, 28. Parser. Get feed. Parse from string data. So this is RSS parser 86. Yeah, so it's an issue with, this is all an issue with the data, is what it looks like. So now it's having an issue here with the data that's being passed in, where it's trying to call from string, which is just this method up from the XML tree. We have the parse here, and so what is that doing? From string parse, that is in the feed parser, parser parse, that's from the requester, get data. So this here, this requester is the fake, and that's calling the get data, giving the URL. And so the question is, which one of these is malformed? And then why is it malformed? So if I come into, where we at? Controller. So if I come in here, and now we're up here, parser fees. So let's actually come into the parser, parse, that's just the data. Where's the feed parser? So before it calls parse, we get the data here. So let's just print the metadata name. All right, so it's, of course, it's stupidity. So then just come into here. Why is this malformed? So it's this data that it's saying is malformed. But we already did this data. And so this data is fine. I'm going to take a copy of this, bring it down here. I'm just going to get rid of these extra items. I'm going to leave that one because that's the one that's already in this one. And then I'm going to remove this one. Okay. So now let's check out what's different. That's the same. That's the same. We have the channel, Atom title, language, copyright, description, iTunes owner. That's different, but that looks right still. And then we have the item, got the title, description, pub date, iTunes duration, enclosure, close the item, close that. It looks, the only difference looks like that. So I wonder if I change this, will that fix it? Let's find out. Nope, still failed. I wish I had like an easy tool to compare this string. Well, I guess actually I do. Hold on, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take this. No, not that one. This one. Here. And come over to the unit test. And before I do any of this, add that in there. Grab the stupidity one. Add that. Get rid of all these items. This was this one. Move that over. Move this over. And I'm going to say self dot assert equal raw and the other one. And I'm going to do self dot max diff is none. So now it should tell me what the differences are. All right. So let's see, what do we got? There is a difference in the numbering of the feed link, which makes sense because they're different feeds. But the rest of that line looks okay. There's a difference in the name of the title of it, but that's as well, that's fine. The description is different but formed the same, right? Description. This one and this one have different authors, that's fine. This was the difference that we noticed, but is also fine. Or at least it wasn't causing the issue when we corrected it, but we could always try that. And then that's all the same. Interesting. All right, well, there is one other quick thing I can try. Looks like we're gonna have to dig into this another time, but I'm gonna comment that one out and see if the others have issues. Yep, Mystery Crate also has an issue. And so does Southreach Sessions. Alright, so there is apparently some issue in all this data that I created. There's something that I did that was wrong. Let's see. If I can fix it real quick. So I'm going to take the stupidity one. I'm going to replace this item. And it looks like it made no difference. No, it didn't actually change anything. So it is literally exactly the same. So what are the other differences that I could care about? I feel like I'm just missing a tag or something. So let me try this real quick. I'm going to take this information here. I'm going to put it in there. And now I'm going to remove these items. And this item. Let's see if it still complains. Alright, so that fixed it. And this is all the same. So it has to be in one of these changed lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this here, copy that. I'm going to undo what I just did. Alright, let me make sure it still fails. Okay, so it fails. Now I'm going to put this back in down here for a second. Comment it out. Alright, so I know it's not... I know it's not this line. So I'm just going to go line by line. And I know it's not... Well, actually, here, hold on. If I place... If I take this, which were the lines that were actually different? Put that in. So, not this one, not that one, not that one, not that one, or that one. Alright, just these. So these are the only lines that are different. And so I'm going to see, I can't just check it out because I have those other changes, which honestly I should just add in, but it's fine. Alright. So let's start with this one, and we'll just do them one at a time to see if they change anything. Nope. Let's try this one. Nope. This one. Nope. This one. Yes. So it was in the title. Is it the ampersand? These don't have ampersands, do they? Yes, they do. And yes, they do. It's the ampersand. Okay. It's because I copied it from one place. I don't remember how I got it. I would have to check. But basically, right, this is escaped. The other ones aren't. And so it can't have an issue with that. That's ridiculous. Okay. Git diff RSS requester stub. Alright, and let's run it. Oh, screw you. Alright, are there more ampersands? I'm just going to start with that, I guess. Mystery crate. Yes, there are. All right, great. So we fixed it. All of them now run. We have the right data. It's still wrong, but it's not as wrong. Feed parse, I'm going to get rid of this now because we're parsing correctly. All right, so come back to here. And we will print that and see what. Are we getting episodes now? No, we're not. Alright, so we fixed an issue, but it's not the only issue. Print feed, so we'll say for feed in feeds, print feed, metadata, name, length, feed, episodes. And we're going to take this, I'm going to add it down here as well. And let's check out what happens. All right, so, okay, so to start with, we have 4121, and then after we filter by the date, we have all 0. So now we're back to what my initial thought was, is that we are filtering by the date incorrectly. The filter on date for the feeds. So again, it all comes back to the data. So publish date for these are all different, which is why. Right, this is published Tuesday the 24th, 23rd, Friday, and the Friday. So none of the dates match the date that we're using, which I feel like when I was setting it up, I should have done correctly. So we're using 5/14 noon, so May 14th, 2023. And in here, this one's these are January. May 14th is a Sunday, which was the day that I filmed it. All right, so let's just start with one. We'll just do Sunday, May. So now if we do this, we should at least get one episode. Great. So now I basically need to update these to all use the same fake date. So far, all the issues have been not in the code we wrote, but in the test itself, which is honestly not like uncommon. All right. So now we're getting them all. We're still getting an error. Was I expecting to filter them all on for the right day? I don't even know now. Yes, I wanted all the episodes, so at least we have all the episodes. So let's add that print back in. Key error, episodes. When am I getting a key error? Oh, so now I'm getting a key error in the code. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this. I'm going to take these out. So now filtering is okay. And now feed, what line is this on? 53. For feed in feeds. Feed for feed and feeds if episode in feed. Episodes. Interesting. What am I calling this? Where is this one being called? Did I spell it wrong? I spelled it wrong. Where did I spell it wrong? Episodes. Wait, but that's not the one that's complaining. Where else has... How many... Okay. So why did those not complain? Episodes. Alright, so my spelling is poor. That, and that. Alright, now let's see what happens. Okay, let's see. So we are now at least getting some better information. So it's hard to tell from that. So let's do self.max diff equals none. Okay. Mystery crate subfeed. So for looks like which one's which? One of the so these all have Lebertard show. This one has stupidity. This one should be none, and so it should have the name of it. So did I write this test wrong? No. So this has stupidity. So I'm not putting the correct. I'm not inserting the correct ones in. So if I print it back out again and I look up here, yeah, it's inserting Lebertard show into, this one has South Beach sessions. And I think the reason it's doing that, because these are the ones that are all on both. This one's only on this one, so it only finds that one to look at. These are on both. And so what did I do here? Episodes only, episodes not on main, episodes on both. So the pod ID... Oh, I see. Okay. So, it was what I copied, right? I took this and I copied it up here. In this case, there was only the 0th one. It's not on main, and so this should be one, and we're just taking the 0th one. In this case, it is on main, so the feeds that it's contained in is main and the subfeed. And we actually want the pod ID of the subfeed because with the way the text reads, can be found on the main feed or the blank subfeed, right? So in this case, we want the subfeed, and we can either do it easy and say -1 and -1. No, since we know the order is that the main feed comes first. Or we could figure out, which one is the subfeed. But since we did that there, honestly, that's fine. Let's run it again, and we should... Let's add this back in and see what else we have to fix up. Okay, so here we have mystery crate subfeed, mystery crate subfeed. Those look the same to me. Mystery crate subfeed, stupidity subfeed. Oh, wait. So here, we have tweet 0 is none with that information. Then we have tweet 1 is the Cooligans. Then God Bless Football, Mystery Curry, Rule of Two, and then Cooligans, and then that. So it's literally just the order, and that's because Cooligans can only be found, right? So this one, it's ordering it, right? This one was doing it where we're basically putting things that can only be found on the main feed after things that can be found on both feeds. So this one is actually, this one's actually moving down below these to there, and then it's still in that order, and this is fine. I think I picked that ordering specifically, so we'll update these orderings. This is 3, this is 4. Okay, now let's run it. And now the issue is in here. What is this saying? Can be found on the main feed or the laboratory Michigan subfeed. Can be found on the main feed or the stupidity subfeed. I feel like okay, now I'm going to print it out. Print self timeline. Close that. I mean, this looks right. So now let's print out expected timeline. We'll come in here and we'll say print expected. I feel like so far we've made we've made like one typo in the controller, and everything else has been in the test data, which is just enjoyable. Okay. So if I look at Cooligans, the test data for Cooligans is messed up. So I feel like maybe I got a comma wrong somewhere. No, those all look fine. Everything has a comma. Right, because so this is the actual data. And so what were the differences in these other ones? Stupidity. Oh, this is... Oh. Did I just do that, or has that been here the whole time? Because that's weird. Git diff, tests, controller. No, so that's been there the whole time. So the data's just been bad. Because this shouldn't be here, right? Or well, this one should be here. This one shouldn't be here. It should be this line instead. I apparently forgot to delete these lines when I was copying stuff when I created the test. So let's get rid of that stuff. Run it again. And then I have to figure out what the issue is with this one. Self.max diff equals none. Okay, and so we're almost there. It's why like I just don't want to. All right, so it's just the Cooligans episode, which is messed up, and that's because the expected one here has the expected one here is printing as the tuple, and this one's printing right. So the information's right. So why is this printing as a tuple while the other ones aren't? Got the comma, got this here. Can we found? It's so weird. I can't see the difference. Let me do the diff again. Not that diff. All right, so this and this. I mean, everything looks... There's a comma here. Has that always been messed up? Apparently. So that was always messed up, I guess. And I just didn't notice it when I was doing the previous tests. So let's quit out of this. Run it again. And it passes. Success! Finally. Okay. Let's get rid of those prints. Run it. Make sure there's... I'm not printing anything else. All right, and the test passes, which means it works. We have tweeted it. We will... It tweets. It does the thing. It gets the data. It does the thing. This code is correct. And everything else was wrong. All right, so let's look at the diff and let's get out of here. So we have the controller here. So these are the things that were wrong on the controller. Didn't have the... We were assigning... This is a keyword argument. We weren't assigning to it. And I had hard-coded in the feeds method. Which would have been so much easier to find if I hadn't made these other mistakes too. These were naming issues. This was the ordering issue. Naming issue again. The dates were wrong here, which is causing the filtering, so that was wrong with the test data. Ampersands and stuff were incorrect. And then... This is the return format was incorrect. In the test, that was incorrect, as well as the test data here. The ordering was different. And then there was also a bug in that. So these are all the files. I'm going to commit them all separately. Or like specifically. So let's go. Let's do git add -i. And I'm going to, so this is an interactive diff, and I'm going to use this to do things kind of in pieces. So let's do the controller unit test first. No, I didn't want to revert. Okay. I want to do a patch. For 3, enter again. All right. So we'll do that one, and we won't do this one. So now if we look at what we've just staged, we've only added this. We can say git commit -m, correcting stub feeds.json path. All right, and then we'll do git add -i again, another patch. Come in here, and let's see if we can split this. So we can, so we'll say yes on that one. So this is where we corrected we added the date to the, where are we here? This is where we added the date to the list tweet. Is that what it's called? Message factory. Yeah, the podcast list tweet. All right. So we'll add that one in. And what else are we able to split out? So we're able to, can we split this one further? No, we can't. No. 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 All right. So we can do, so I can't split out the fix and the cooligans. So I can't split, so I have this, which I could commit separately, but that doesn't make sense. I would want to commit it with this one, but I can't commit this one without also committing the change of this ID. So the ID changes and the movement of this, as well as the correction of the comma, are all going to be the same. I can, however, add in these string removals as a separate commit. So I'll do that. So let's quit, and we'll do git diff -staged. And so this one is git commit -m, adding date as string to policy list tweet test data, or expected data. Policy list tweet expected data. All right, and then git add -i. I'm just happy it works now, so that's honestly the best part. Shout out to everyone watching. All the views. Split. No. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. Was it really only twice? It was in the mystery crate once. Interesting. Let's do Q. Git commit -m, removing. If I could spell superfluous, I would do that, but I can't. Extra lines from expected test data. And then let's go to git add tests, controller unit tests, git diff staged. So we'll say correcting order, git commit -m, correcting order, and syntax of expected tweet data. Alright, so we have 2 files left, so let's do the stub. So we'll do git add -i, patch 2. So we got 12 chunks. So what was it? It was let's do all the dates first. We'll say yes, 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 no, yes, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And we'll quit. Get diff staged. So we got git commit -m updated stub feed data to match test run date. Alright, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the last one. Oh, actually no, I'll just do this one. So we'll say yes, yes, and yes, and no, and quit. Git diff staged. Git add git commit -m corrected format of stub data. No. Actually, no. Here we'll say escaped ampersand in stub data, and that is amp. All right, and let's add the RSS requester stub. And this will be git commit -m fix bug in stub get data URL arg usage. All right, and then we have one last one, the actual controller, right? So we're saying we have the so the top two here, the keyword arg, the path, and then I think the rest of them is just, or this one's in ordering, and then these other two are episode misspells. So -i patch. And so we'll split that. We'll say yes. I don't remember which one. Is it just Q? Let's see if that worked. Git diff staged. Okay. Git commit -m fixing controller init of feed parser uses keyword args. Git add -i patch. We'll say, and then I also don't remember. One of them I could say yes and then stop, but I don't remember what that is. So yes and then quit. Quit. Git diff staged. Git commit -m. Correcting hard-coded fees.json path to use past arg. All right, and then we got two more commits to create, and then all right, so we'll say yes, no, yes. Git commit -m fixed spelling error for episodes. Make sure I spell it right in the commit. And now we have one more, git commit -am Fixed bug in controller. So episodes on both feeds use subfeed Twitter handle. That's like the only real bug that we actually had to fix. Like, which honestly, I guess that's not too bad. Just the frustration of the test stuff. So, all right, get status, and we are clean. All right, so now look at the work tracker. We have now implemented the controller. I'm not going to close this out yet because we'll want to use it and we'll contemplate any amount of refactoring that we want to do in here, right? Like it's all just kind of one giant method, and we know there's redundancy. So let's check this out. Git commit am completed controller Impl task. Git log. We had a bunch of commits in this one. Do we have more than 20? No, we did not, though. So we'll say git tag ep45. All right. Great. So we now have it working. This entire diagram here has been created. You give it a feed. You give it a metadata.json. We don't pass in the Twitter things. We could do that if we wanted to, but it will tweet out to the site. So next time we will send out a tweet, and so we'll send out like real tweets, and we'll consider like refactoring, and we'll also like merge the code in, and we'll start doing kind of all that stuff like that. And we'll consider anything else we want to do in the future, but. Episode 45, and we do have a working podcast monitor, and it only took 3 times longer than I wanted to spend today on it, but that's how it goes. So until next time, see ya.